Good evening, or whatever the time in your part. A very warm welcome to all the friends who are joining us today. Uh, my name is Ganesh, and I'm going to shortly introduce and welcome our guest, Mr. Nilesh Vikamsey. So that's happening in just a couple of minutes. But I wanted to share very quickly with you the story of this particular AHA conversation. Every alternate Wednesday or Friday, rather, we bring to you an AHA conversation with people who have an inspirational journey to share. Um, and I have to say that this is the first AHA conversation that you will see two people have in a tie, because we always thought that AHA conversations were really or conversations around the somewhere around the spiritual world must not happen, or around meditation must not happen for people who come in a suit and a tie. But we are going to be able to change your perception today about those pieces. So I was this go-getter, ambitious entrepreneur that was constantly running and running. And it took me about 4 years of persuasion before I first meditated in 2006. And as I began to do that, the story of my life began to change quite dramatically. At that time, I was 31 years of age, and as I began to meditate, a lot of things began to shift in my life. I thought that very little will change outside. I may feel peace, but how does that affect my work if I feel peaceful? But what we began to see was that a lot of my professional life, my personal life started to change. My organizations that I had founded were growing dramatically. With every passing year, things kept improving. The more peace I felt, the more silence I felt, the more silence in the mind I felt, the more the organizations that I was associated with kept growing. So, so with silence, that success came in, and that took a quantum leap for me personally in 2013, when I ended up doing deeper practices. And one of those dear friends at that time who I met was Nilesh Bhai, or Mr. Nilesh Vikamsey. We call him Nilesh Bhai fondly. So throughout this interview, I'm going to address him as Nilesh Bhai. And he introduced me to another form of meditation which I was not practicing, and that further changed my life to the point that today I have been blessed with working in an environment where I can see that it's not hard work, it's not smart work, it's almost no work. With inner silence, with peace, there is almost no work that's happening. So I wanted to have you all inspired by the story of Mr. Nilesh Vikamsey, and I'm going to quickly give you a little bit of a biography of Nilesh Bhai. He actually began his biggest piece that I want to share with you is he began meditating at 25 years of age, and he has reached the pinnacle in his profession. He is the past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He has worked in that leadership role during some of the most stressful times in Indian history, in terms of their profession, when demonetization was happening, when the GST was being implemented. Nilesh Bhai was right there in a leadership role, and he was like a navigator, helping his community, helping the country navigate that, even as the policy decisions were being implemented. So that's his biggest introduction. He, of course, he's a partner in Kumarji, Khimji and Company, and he's an accomplished chartered accountant and an expert in his domain. He's a director in several large companies including SBI Life and several others. So there are many professional accomplishments that you can Google and find out about Nilesh Bhai. But I particularly want you to know that his greatest accomplishment, as far as I see it, is in the moments of greatest stress, in the moments of extreme challenge, he rises above, and he does it with so much grace. What defines Nilesh Bhai is humility, grace, compassion, and kindness. These are the words that I would introduce him with. So with that, I want to bring Nilesh Bhai forth, and very warm welcome, Nilesh Bhai. Thank you very much for joining us on this AHA conversation. We'll have friends joining us live, and then friends that will keep watching this over many months and years. So we want this to be a memorable hour or so. So firstly, thank you, and just a word from you, Nilesh Bhai. How are you feeling? What were your thoughts when we decided to do a session on from silence to success? You have reached the
Uh,
pinnacle of success for the world, but what were you feeling, thinking when you decided to accept this invitation?
Ganesh, first of all, my sincere thanks for having me on this AHA conversation and a wonderful, work which you are doing as far as the spiritual side of the life is concerned. And that's the reason why I said I've agreed. See, number one, I don't like to showcase myself. I'm a very down to earth person. The only reason I have agreed to your request is somehow we can inspire some lives, especially on the meditation side. And I would be more particularly speaking on the Vipassana meditation. I have not practiced other forms of meditation except our Naukar mantra, which is part of a Jain religion, which also has helped me, of course. So the whole my endeavor and focus is through this today's discussion. If we can help some lives transform themselves, I think that's the only objective. There is no objective of showcasing myself. It is just some tidbits, and that's the way I think people pick up threads, and even if some threads they can pick up out of this conversation and transform their lives, I think it'll be worth the whole 1 hour which you're going to spend conversing with each other. And of course, you yourself have been a very I would say deeply inclined spiritually. You've sort of practiced various forms of meditation. You're aware of a lot of things, so it's always going to be a pleasure. And I'll be learning a lot of things from you, Ganesh, more than the other way around. So it is going to be a learning for me also from this conversation, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Wonderful. So, Nilesh Bhai, tell us a little bit about your personal and professional journey. And, really, when you began, both personally and professionally, and specifically tell us when did you begin meditation and how has it been impacting your life? That silence that you have practiced. And for all our viewers, I want to reiterate for those who are just joining us, when we are talking about silence and success, here we've got an example of someone who's experienced the pinnacle of both. And we don't just talk about oral silence, but we're talking about silencing the mind here. The monkey mind, which jumps from the past to the future, to the past to the future, and the monkey mind that actually gets all of that stress come through in our lives. So, Nilesh Bhai, a little bit about your journey to begin with.
Very quickly, Ganesh, I was not an academic, I would say, brilliant child till the seventh standard. I was absolutely into sports, so this cricket, football, whatever. Of course, I was staying in a small building, so being in our normal building, the way in the Bombay buildings were, used to go to the ground and play. So the whole, not an academic mind. Eighth onwards, I started focusing on academics and more specifically on mathematics and science. Did well in 10th in those times in 1979. I got 76%, which was reasonably good in those times. 12th was very good. Then I gave my CA for entrance, very good marks. I failed miserably in my intermediate exam. So that was the one trigger point. We'll come to that discussion somehow. And how I overcame that failure. It was a massive failure. I gave one group, and so that sort of set me back thinking whether I'm fit to be a chartered accountant or not. So 1 month of introspection, becoming like a Devdas, in the sense whether I've chosen the right stream, etc., etc. At that point of time, one day after a month, I just, sort of a very firm determination came in. What the hell? I can make it. I can become a CA. So then did introspection, what went wrong in the earlier attempt, you know, corrected all the mistakes which I was doing, and then I cleared my intermediate, then did my final also very well. I became an CA. I had to wait for my degree. Normally, they give the CA degree at the age of 21. I became CA at the age of 20 years and 11 months. I had to wait for a month for my degree to be given to me. So that's I could have become 1 year earlier also, but I was taking it easy slightly during my graduation. I did parallel along with my graduation. So that's the first trigger. I became successful at the age of 21, a chartered accountant, and I got a family firm. And in those days, we didn't have, it was absolutely but natural that I would join the practice. Never had a thought of joining anywhere else, and nobody told me also. Not that my father insisted that I join the practice or I do CA or whatever, but it was just a given. So joined the practice at the age of 21, and at that age, that was the year 1985. In India, for the first time, tax audits came, and suddenly the practice grew in the sense. So we were three partners: my father, my brother, and myself. So my brother focused on taxation then, and I focused on the audits. The newer audits have come, the stockbroker audits, the tax audits, etc. There's a huge increase. So got bogged down into that. During that time, I had an article of mine who was behind me, Nilesh Vipassana Karo. He was an article trainee with me, and I used to listen in 1 year and take it out of the other day. I said, "Ye sab baatein karta." I never used to sort of discourage him. I said, "This is something to be done post-retirement." That was a thought I had before doing Vipassana. I'll touch 50 and then I'll start doing whatever meditation, Vipassana, etc., etc. But my friend was insistent, and I used to listen and just take it out of my other year. His name is Mukund Soni. He's currently based in Dubai. He's teaching in a university there. He's also incidentally a chartered accountant. One day in 1986, he must have got tired of, in 1985 telling me to go and all. And he had a reason also, which I'll come to you later. He told Nilesh, you're not going for 10 days to do Vipassana. Why don't you just spare 2 hours for me? Pujya Guruji Satyanarayan Goenkaji is going to speak in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan at Chopati under the auspices of Indian Vegetarian Congress. It was the World Vegetarian Day, and Indian Vegetarian Congress had organized a lecture of Guruji at Bhavan, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. And I said, just to jaan chodane ke liye, just to get rid of the gentleman, I'll just go spend 2 hours and he'll stop nagging me to attend Vipassana. So with that intent, I went to listen to Guruji at Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. And I was absolutely enthralled on those 2 hours, the way Guruji was explaining what Vipassana is, the scientific, the rationale behind it. The moment I said, in those times, I don't know whether you know, Ganesh, there were challenges of all the godmen which were there. We had, I don't know, name those people. They were all, we were scared of going to the godmen or to the, anything connected to spirituality, because there was a lot of wrongdoings also happening across. But when I heard Guruji, I stepped out of the auditorium. I told Mukund Soni, he's the friend of mine who was, pushing me to do that. I stepped out and I told Mukund, I'm going to do this at the earliest possible. Because I told him that time was the practice has grown substantially. I could not move out of the practice till 1989. And in 1989, I did my first Shivir at the age of 25. So that was the background of how I got into the Vipassana. That was the first time I did Vipassana was 1989, but decision was taken in 1986. I could not free myself to go for 10 days, but I went in 1989.
3 years before you actually ended up. 3 years, and you had your first taste of silence while you were on the ascendancy professionally.
Yes,
and
yes.
what was the impact of that? What happened? Were you a different person when you came back, when you went back to work in 1989 after these 10 days of silence?
Yeah, I can share with you one of the reasons why my friend would have been pushing me, which I realized in hindsight, I was very, very short-tempered. The person I used to fire anyway, he must have been suffering a lot, but I used to take almost an hour to unwind myself. After firing someone in the office, I used to, and to the extent, one day my cousins came from out of Mumbai. He was telling me, Nilesh, why are you boiling your blood on these trivial matters, so-called? See, when something is, somebody makes a mistake or, does something wrong, and we are in a profession where we are there to correct the mistakes of others. So that is, and simple things, when simple things also not done. So one used to lose the temper. And so as I told you, the person who used to get fired anyway, he would be suffering. But I used to suffer more. I used to suffer and take 1 hour to unwind myself and come back to normal and get back into normal work.
Yeah.
First Shibir I did in 1989, Ganesh. The moment I came back, my short-temperedness went away automatically. I didn't do anything consciously. It was just
Mm.
an automatic outcome. Yeah, I do get angry. When I say I do get angry now, there's a show of anger. Today's time, to get things done, you need to be angry, show anger. But there is an absolute difference. Earlier, I used to get worked up. I used to, sort of take time to unwind. Now, I just, have an angry emotion or whatever just to showcase that things are not being done properly. I don't get angry inside. So that distinction has come automatically that you show anger but you don't get angry inside. So that has been one of the most visible differences after the first I would say shibir or a camp which I did. And after that, of course, and a lot of intangible, but that is the most tangible thing which I could observe in the first shibir.
So, Nilesh bhai, what is different now? Once you practice this, what happens when there's an external situation? Because what you are saying is that the external situations have not stopped. Those same situations
Absolutely.
would have made you angry before 1989.
Yes,
But now,
yes, yes.
those same situations, there is a certain inner silence and awareness that even while you
Absolutely.
are acting out in
Yeah,
some way that you want the work done, but there is
absolutely.
a certain inner quietness or silence.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
what has really changed inside?
I think a lot of things have changed inside. I don't know. We'll need to discuss more about Vipassana than to understand what has changed inside. The moment we get into Vipassana, I think we'll come to know what is the changes in the sense, how to remain in the present. Typically,
Hmm.
our mind just sort of wanders away. If I'm speaking to you, my mind is now right now maybe running into some other, event. So, how to remain in the present and focus on that, and tremendous changes. Since not only the remaining in the present, how to be positive in life. So always there will be naysayers. There will be how to be truthful, how to never do any wrong things in life. So that is the biggest thing, and how it helps. See, we generally, I think many of us have been brought in the Hindi movie, world where we seem, adopting shortcuts, this, that, and how the shortcuts impact you. I think that is what the meditation sort of teaches you. So be truthful, no lies, how to earn the right way. This is no wrong, I would say approaches even in a work front, not to do anything wrong in the work front also. Have the straight path, and to the extent possible, have uh, a positive income in the sense not harming anybody else.
Yes.
All that has got a consequential impact on your, I would say, way you look at things, and many other benefits. I think as we discuss more, I think it will start coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is wonderful. So my you talked about presence, Nilesh bhai. One of the things that you learned through Vipassana was to be present,
Yep.
uh, and in the present moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, is that something that you are able to practice ongoingly?
Day in
Uh,
and day out.
yeah. And what happens when you get a situation where it is very natural to feel stressed or worried? How do you manage to stay present and with your breath or whatever the practice is
Yeah.
of being present, because that is the most powerful form of existence that you are talking about,
Yeah.
which is not to wander but to be present in the present moment.
Yeah. Let me explain slightly in detail. See, the way
Yeah.
I would see myself earlier, and what are the difference. One of the basic practices of Vipassana is, first 3 days is to watch your breath, how it is going in coming. You don't do any exercise of the breath. It is not a pranayam. It is just a normal observation. So you're keeping your eyes closed and watching how your breath is, sort of going in, going out. But the mind is not under our control. The mind has got its own habit pattern, and it is not in our control at all in the normal course. So what happens is once you're practicing, you're keeping your eyes closed and watching your breath in this area, how it is going in, coming out, and what is the impact in this portion. The first time when you go there, what happens is you close your eyes and suddenly you observe. Even regularly, even now, after so many shivers I have done or camps I have done, mind wanders away because mind has got its own habit. Where does it wander away? One is the past. These things have happened, and then future. You want to remain in the present. Just watch your breath, but mind is not under control. It just wanders away. Past, future. It's like a drunken monkey. It keeps on jumping from past to future and not remaining present. So what is told in Vipassana is When you observe, you're meditating, you're keeping your eyes closed, you're supposed to be focusing in this area below the nostrils, and the mind wanders away. And this is natural. It happens with everyone. It's nothing unnatural about it. It says just bring it back. Whenever you observe, after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 45 minutes, whenever you realize that your mind has wandered away, just bring it back. So that bringing it back is starting to train your mind to be under your control. So it happened. The first time I can just give in the first Shibir, I remember sometimes I used to dabble in thoughts. For 45 minutes, mind used to wander away. But whenever you realize, so gradually as the training happened, that okay, when you're observing it, it's gone away, you realize it, bring it back, bring it back. That bringing it back on the present automatically, teaches you to remain in the present. I'm saying that particular practice of Anapana, as it is called, is
Yes.
focusing on the breath, and so that makes you, and it improves your concentration tremendously. And the more you practice it, the more you sort of do it. Many times I'm asked the question. People read my profile, and first of all, they tell me, Nilesh, how can you handle so many multifarious things? You're in practice, you're a director somewhere, you were president you're in the council, this, that. So the success is to remain in the present. Whatever you're doing, do it properly. Give the full focus. And
Beautiful.
currently, as we speak, one bad habit which has come to me and maybe many others is the mobile. I think assuming we are, say, attending a webinar and suddenly the mind will go to see what is the WhatsApp message, this, that, etc. That breaks the concentration. So remaining in the present is very important, and it really, you can multitask yourself. And of course, the biggest, I would say, the way I've been able to do the major part of course, the thanks goes to my colleagues in the office who have taken the whole burden of me, and my family also who has supported me, lock, stock, and barrel to focus. But despite that, in the multifarious activities, how do you focus on the present is very important. So today, I tell you, yesterday I had a meeting of one company. That today I'm into another company. I've got some practice issues. My partners discuss with me. At that point of time, what is relevant is the only thought which you should be having, not get bogged down with, which is, and that comes a practice. It's not easy. When you start doing Anapan and you start doing practicing, I think that will be, you'll realize that it comes automatically once you start practicing.
Nilesh bhai, it's so powerful what you said. You are saying that you are multitasking. You are the director of 10 companies. You are on board members. You are working with the government. You're working on so many different projects. You are also practicing. You are also on the board of some trusts, charitable trusts. You are doing all that. So you are multitasking. But multitasking is not in the moment. In the moment, in one moment, you are with that one task. You are 100% with that task. And since 1989, you have practiced coming on to focus on that one task, one moment. Not denying that you are doing 100 tasks. So, but still you are focusing on that one task in one moment.
At that moment, absolutely.
No wonder, I have to say 2016, 2017 for all of us who are entrepreneurs, chartered accountant friends who have joined, with demonetization happening, with GST, all the things that were going on, there was so much happening around. And at that time, this quality of yours as the president, vice president, and then president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, this quality you must have used excessively all the time, I guess.
Absolutely. See, there also at the Institute, as you rightly said, every day was a challenge. In the profession as a vice president, or more importantly as a president, we are an institute of currently 300,000 members. Those days it must be 260,000 members and about 800,000 students. And some issue every day cropping up, and these are the two large issues: the GST as well as the demonetization. So demonetization happened when I was the vice president. My president was Mr. Devraj Reddy, a wonderful, very religious gentleman from Hyderabad. So again, a very positive-minded person. So we handled it jointly in the sense whatever was required to be done, supporting the government and doing it. More importantly, was in the GST phase. GST, what happened is it was a big bang reform. So on one side, we had a very large task of doing training, not only to the members of the institute, to the students, but to the public at large, to the businessmen, to the others. So I think it must be a record the number of man-hours of education we would have done on GST in the year 16, 17 and 17, 18, both the years. More importantly, along with the education was to interact with the government and get the changes done. I remember Of course, I was not doing it. I had a team. I had an indirect tax committee where my colleague Madhukar Hirgangi was the chairman. I think Sushil Goyal was the vice chairman. The whole committee, a lot of experts in the committee. They used to do all the legwork, coming out with publications, coming out with issues. And I remember we had recommended something like 500 suggestions to the government how to make the implementation smoother. And out of that, roughly about 500 was over a period of time. January 2017, when I was vice president, was the time when the draft came. We give suggestions on the first draft, then the second draft came, we give suggestions on the second draft. And 1st of July 2017, when I was president, it was implemented. Every month after the implementation also, every month we used to give suggestions. These are the challenges, these are the issues, please work on this to make the system, better. And I can tell you, Ganesh, if at all in those years, of course, it was a very terrible implementation, if I can say, especially because of technology. The technology failed us miserably in the sense to all the citizens. I don't want to blame anybody, but it was a huge this thing. But if at all there was some partial success, I think in those times maybe roughly about 60-65% success, I would give full credit to ICAI, not to Nilesh Vikamsey. I was just a mouthpiece, a figure at that point of time. My colleagues in the indirect tax committee and the number of trainers we had done at the committee who had sort of gone out training, the number of suggestions we give to the government. So the whole thing was to just collectively, positively channelize the positive issue, how to correct things rather than complaining. Of course, suggesting. It's a
Yes.
constructive criticism and constructive suggestions. Rather, see, one is the mother-in-law approach of just be negative. No, how to be constructive. That's the whole approach. And thanks to Vipassana, that in all walks of life, always been constructive. Because this is the way it can be done.
Yeah. And so you manage that stress very effectively with the same principle. Neeraj bhai, my next question for you was really about, the people that have had the most impact on your life. Particularly if you can talk about your teacher, Goyanka ji. Can you share what was the impact, and how did it impact you? And also share some core teachings that you have received from them.
Yeah. I'll start before Guruji with my first, I would say, teacher who impacted me was I was in my fourth standard. We had a class teacher called Mrs. Banerjee. Then later on, Mrs. Chakra. After marriage, she was Mrs. Chakravarti. A small act she did. That time, as I told, I was more into sports and I've never been focused on academics. I always was sitting on the last bench, and for no reason, just it was incidental. One fine day, she just asked me, Nilesh, come, and she made me sit on the first bench. Just a small act, nothing else, just be on the first bench. So had I been on the last bench, generally who's on the last benches? The most mischievous kids are on the last benches. So that sort of, first of all, was the first trigger. So I'm indebted to Mrs. Chakravarti for her that one small action which possibly changed the company I keep, possibly. Not that I became better. For another 3 years, I was more into sports only, not into studies. Yeah. Another teacher later on who sort of changed my life, I would say, is Mr. T. Pathak. He was a school teacher who was into mathematics and science, and I used to take tuitions from him also. Fantastic person. Even at that age, very, very enthusiastic, who had love for mathematics. I've seen your video, which has gone viral, Ganesh, which has been, I think, mistaken for somebody else also, for Mrs. Molly Abraham. And Mr. T. Pathak was my Molly Abraham in this sense. And with God's grace, I was connected through life to him. After 8th, 9th, 10th also, anytime in life, in the sense, any advice or vice versa. So he also used to call up. He suffered some personal tragedy. His son got shot in UP. I went to his house, grieved with him. But you see the gem of a person. The moment I stepped out of the grieving out of his house, he was staying in JB Nagar, and the type of person he was, that Nilesh, come, I want to show you. This is where Madhuri Dixit used to say, opposite his building. So we have gone for grieving, with him, but he has sort of accepted that particular moment which has happened with his son not being there. After, we meet him, he steps out of the house just to see us off and shows us where Madhuri Dixit is. He knows that is what maybe possibly impresses as youngsters at that point of time. So that are the type of people who have left an imprint on me. Another, I think one of the biggest teachers was my father, who never taught anything. Not a single thing, except possibly swimming, I think. Swimming he must have taught me, but just his conduct, see, as a role model, as a conduct in the sense of the way he was, and it was an invisible this thing. As kids, we never bothered what he was doing. In his peak of his practice, he was spending 25% of time on social work and predominantly in education. focused on only education initially. And we used to see his colleagues coming in, his friends who used to work together with him in the education, hostels, education loans, etc. And later on, he entered Vipassana in 1980, never told us to do Vipassana. We used to observe him, he's going, coming, this, that, whatever, but anyway. So that I would give credit for Vipassana to my colleague Mukund Soni, but that was my dad who was going there. And of course, then whatever discussions, however you should, the way you should look at life, not to go the wrong path, be patient. Family, I would say, when you're living in a family, we have 5 brothers and a sister initially before marriages, and later I would say the wives came, the kids came. There will always be issues. They say when 2 utensils are nearby, they'll always bang. So, how to handle family situations, always counseling, and never sort of embossing. So that was one major, I would say, teacher apart from these two, who was an indirect teacher. Directly, of course, this is just counseling and all. He would never, who used to tell us do this, never used to tell us. So that's the reason a lot of things we did automatically. Then coming to Guruji. Guruji, of course, what do I say? He changed the whole life. So Vipassana changed the whole life. Had we not got Vipassana, I think I would not have been sitting in front of you and talking to you. I would attribute whatever success I have received after doing Vipassana. Till CA, I had not done Vipassana, so okay, whatever my past effort would have been there. But post that, I would give almost substantial, even including presidency. I think you'll be surprised that including presidency in today's time, see, our institute is a microcosm of the Indian politics. There are 32 individuals who elect the president. Of course, I would say the election to the Central Council is from the common membership. It is also the election. That would be completely on the goodwill of the firm, goodwill of my partners who have worked hard, goodwill of my colleagues and my friends who would be supporting me, and my own work, whatever is there. So it's a combination of a lot of things, which is more of merit, I would say, the election to the council. But in the council, becoming a vice president is political. So, and you understand what happens in politics. So in politics also, remaining true to yourself, remaining true to the path of Dhamma, we call it, in the sense, be truthful, be sincere, never tell lies. That helped me in becoming, otherwise, I'll tell you, in today's time, a person like me can never become president of the institute. Had it not been for Vipassana, amongst whatever other things it would have helped me in. But I would say this president ICAI, if at all, is all thanks to Vipassana. I would give full credit because I was truthful, and that sort of impressed many of my colleagues.
Yeah.
To sort of support me, if I can use that word. So that is.
I think what you're saying, Nilesh Bhai, is also so powerful in that there is one path, which is go there and get it at any cost. Yep. Whatever the external environment is asking you to do, you do it to be successful. So success can be achieved in this way by being very aggressive and being, politically manipulating, etc. But at the same time, you've also talked about the path of Dhamma and
yes,
where you follow certain values. You focus on your own self. You focus on becoming silent within. You focus on transforming within yourself, and then you actually walk the path. There you are not walking to success walks to you because you have transformed yourself. So I think that's very beautiful what you have shared.
I would want to add two more things, Ganesh. I have not spoken on Guruji and some of my experiences with one or two. I didn't have, I'll just 2-3 things. But before that, on the CA front itself, my first election, I remember, our elections are generally held in the first week of December. And the decision that I should contest came from Anand Rathi. Anand Rathi, if you know Anand Rathi Financial Services and all, he is a family friend and all. He was in the council for 2 terms. Then my father, then Kamlesh Bhai was there for 3 terms. He ordered me that you have to go to the council next. So that decision was taken on 30th of August. And we had hardly 2 or 3 months to do the groundwork, and in which the busy months for CA, tax audit, tax returns and all, you can't meet people. So thanks to the past, background and all. And when I contested for the first time, I had a colleague of my friend of mine, Atul Bheda, was already in the Central Council. Now, Atul Bheda is 1 year senior to me in school, not in my school, he was in a different school, but we used to stay in Vadala near each other. He was in Podar College, again 1 year senior. Common friends in Matunga, Ghatkopar, Mulund. This is the central belt where I think we are more, this thing. So when I contested the first election, wherever I used to go to seek support, the feedback I used to get is, since Atulbhai is already there and we already committed to him, because he already in the earlier council, it was but natural. Normally, what happens in normal life is a person would try to break the supporters of the others to win. Had I been normal, had I not been following my own family background plus the Vipassana background, I would have tried to break the supporters of Atulbhai, my friend. I didn't do that. What I told those friends is, ours is a preferential system. You give first preference to Atulbhai, give second to me. We got a preferential system. And I
Yeah.
was absolutely positive, not a single bit of negativity I did. I didn't try to break any single vote of his.
Hmm.
And he's incidentally Kachi. I'm also Kachi. And it was written that two Kachi candidates cannot be elected to Central Council together. There's a small submass of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the world is so big, you remain positive, you hold true to your values, and both of us won. He was out of there were 11 candidates to be won. He was number I think eighth to be in the council, and I was in the 9 to 11. Hardly any difference was there. Hardly a few votes difference between. So I may have won at the 11th level or whatever level. So that is one thing. Second, talking about Guruji, how you hold to the principles. First is a second-hand information of my father, who used to. My father joined Vipassana in 1980 to work. It started with one cottage in Igatpuri. And the philosophy of Vipassana is, as far as all the trust where meditation happens, is they can take donations only from the people who have done at least one camp. They cannot take donations from people who have not done the Vipassana Shibir, or they have not done Vipassana.
Hmm.
When, as any organization grew, they also had challenges of, they needed funds. So my dad and a lot of other colleagues like him said, Guruji, allow us to, go out in the society. Like even we had Ramkrishna Bajaj as our, a disciple of, he had done Shibir. We had from United Phosphorus, Mr. Shroff had done one of these Shroff, not all the brothers, but one of these Shroff had done it. So we can go out in society and collect the funds from even meditators, non-meditators. So Guruji was very clear, and some work was getting stuck at that point of time. We will not take any money from non-meditators. And you will be surprised, Ganesh. Sticking to the rule, after a few days, they got donations from some meditators to cover up the deficit which was there for that particular project. That was one thing.
Wow.
My own personal experience, I was going for a Shibir somewhere later, I don't remember the year, maybe 1997 or 1999. And we had a Tata Estate, a large car at that point of time. And I was going for the Shibir, and Guruji also was supposed to be going to Igatpuri, Guruji and Mataji. So I had the good fortune of sort of picking him up from Juhu. And since I was anyway going for a Shibir, and the Tata Estate car was comfortable, especially for, and those times the roads were very bad. We didn't have the one way in Kasara and all those things. The roads were very, very bad. A lot of potholes, etc. I went to Guruji's residence, picked him up, initial courtesies, etc. He sat in the car. You won't believe, Ganesh, the moment after he sat, after the initial courtesies were over, started working on that newsletter which comes. Not a single idle moment.
Hmm.
Unbelievable. So, and especially not on a level road, the road which was bumpy, how hard it is reading and doing any work, especially any writing work or any editing work. I think he was editing the newsletter or whatever and reading it. So the amount of, so the 24/7 he has devoted for Vipassana, I think it is unimaginable. And this is one my real life example I'm sharing with you. Of course, I have sought his guidance after the Shibirs got over. I had the good fortune of attending some Shibirs with him, not all, but few of my Shibirs, and that was an aura. I think the Maitri which he used to give after the Shibir got over. I think that's an aura. I think which is you can't.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And there are so many Vipassana meditators all around the world. I mean, there must be several millions of people who have done Vipassana.
Definitely, I think at least in lakhs, millions. I'm sure it must have touched a million by now. The Vipassana is there in more than 100 countries across the world. There are centers all across the world, even in US, in Europe, in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, in Vietnam, and you name it, Australia, Japan. I think all across the world, it is spread like wildfire. A person with a determination. Guruji was born and brought up in Burma, a very successful industrialist. And here, I don't know whether I should share with him how he came across Vipassana. Would you? I think would the audience be interested in that, Ganesh?
Sure,
A, cut,
absolutely. If you, yeah, please.
a Kattar Hindu, a very, very, when I say Kattar, a very strong Hindu by birth, knowing Bhagavad Gita and almost all the spiritual texts of the Hinduism. Uh, Very successful businessman at a very young age. He was suffering from migraine. And in those days, to cure migraine, doctors used to give morphine injections. So after some of the treatment, his doctor advised him that Mr. Goenka, if you are going to keep on taking the morphine injection, I don't know about migraine, but you will die out of the morphine injections. So better try to see if there's some cure across the world. So he traveled the whole world, US, this, that. He had all the money with him, but didn't get any success. Then in Burma itself, somebody told him that why don't you go to Mr. Sayaji Wakin, who was the erstwhile Controller Auditor General equivalent in Burma in those days, and you might get a cure for your this thing migraine. So Guruji went to him, and so Sayaji Wakin, who's Guruji's Guruji, he said, "Yeah, you can come. This is open for all. There's no religious, restriction on anybody can come for Vipassana. They can take Vipassana and go." Whilst leaving, Guruji told him, no, "I have got a migraine problem. I want to do Vipassana for migraine." Then Sayaji Wakin came, "You don't come here for curing a migraine. Vipassana is a thing which is going to take you out of the, this life and death cycle, which is a karmic cycle. And this is a very small thing, migraine, which you want to, do. Don't come for migraine. If you are wanting to accept it at a spiritual level, then only come." So maybe after that initial, resistance, being a strong, staunch Hindu, he overcame that, went there, and then it was, it transformed him, and it transformed, I would say, the world. And I can just share with you, there's a saying, Vipassana is the real teaching of Gautama the Buddha. It has been, transmitted on Guru Shishya. Typically, what happens in religions is we, forget the essence and we get ritualistic. Say whether it's Mahavir in Jainism or Jesus, what he spoke, or the Quran and all. I think what is happening is the real essence is there in those texts, but we are becoming ritualistic. I'll go to the temple, do some puja, but I step outside the temple, I'm as bad as I am. I'll do all the wrong things. I'll tell lies, I'll do wrong practices or any wrong thing. But just when I go to the temple, I'm becoming a religious, person. So Guruji, of course, got this. There's a saying, this particular tradition was maintained in its pure form in Burma under a Guru Shishya Parampara. In India, it remained for 500 years after Gautam Buddha's demise. 500 years it remained in the pure form, and it then lost. It got corrupted. Other practices got merged with it and became more ritualistic, etc. There was a saying in Burma that after 2500 years, Vipassana will go back to the country where it's originated, which is India. And it was the desire of Sayaji Ubakin to bring it back to India. He couldn't come because of the visa restrictions in Burma. And he told Guruji that you take the baton, and from you it will spread. And see what Guruji did. A single-handed person sort of has created Vipassana, where millions of people have done it, hundreds of centers all across the world. I think what one person can do, following the right path, I think that itself is a proof.
Wonderful. I think that's such an inspiring story, and it's uncomplicated. There isn't any ritual there. You just have to sit in silence and watch your breath. And so tell us, Nilesh bhai, a little bit about the practice of Anapanasathi meditation, which we'll also have all of our friends try out today. 10 minutes of silence we will try out. But tell us a little bit about this practice.
Yeah. See, but basically, I'll tell both. There are two practices in Vipassana. One is Anapan, which I mentioned slightly earlier, where you close your eyes and watch your breath. Watch as it is. Sometimes it is slow, sometimes it is fast, sometimes you can observe, sometimes you can't. And just what sensations are happening in this portion. So this helps improve your consciousness. The moment your eyes are closed and start watching your breath, one is, of course, your thoughts will start. Your thoughts will keep on wandering. You'll bring it back and see what is happening. When you see what is happening, some itching or some cold or some heat, so that will improve your concentration. That's the first thing which you'll do, and improve your concentration. It's like a surgeon's knife. It will keep on sharpening the knife, the concentration. Fourth day onwards, you start doing Vipassana. What is Vipassana? is to see yourself as it is, seeing yourself internally. So you start seeing from top to bottom what is happening. Close your eyes. Generally, there is something good happening, something bad happening. So you close your eyes, the good sensation, a bad sensation. The theory behind Vipassana is that those who believe, I think it's a belief in this life and death. You're connected to life and death because of the karma, the deeds which you have done. It's like a seed which keeps on growing. Whilst you're doing Vipassana, you sort of, the old karma comes back. And generally, in the normal thing, what happens? You multiply it. Suppose a karma of anger or any bad thing, we generally multiply in a normal day-to-day life. But while it's doing Vipassana, you're closing your eyes, something happens. The bad thing is it's a rag and dvesh, we call it. It's a dvesh ka karma. And you're not reacting to it. You're remaining equanimous. And what you observe is after some time it passes away. So you're neutralizing the karma at that time. It's becoming, your accounting is getting you zeroized. Your karma account, which normally keeps on multiplying. So Vipassana teaches you equanimity. From Anapan, you'll gain concentration, which will be a tool for Vipassana. And you go into Vipassana, it will teach you equanimity and how not to react. See, in life, we create karma because of the reaction. There's a very thin line between action and reaction. So the karma is happening because of the reaction. Suppose say somebody hits me and I become so angry and I hit him back. So that is, I'm creating a karma because of the ill will I'm generating inside. But assume somebody's hit me and I don't get angry. But I may need to hit him in self-defense. But without being angry, it is not possible. I'm saying, let me tell you, for a normal human being, without being angry. So you are building a karma because of being angry and again hitting him. It's like this: a soldier, say a murderer kills somebody, a robber or a murderer. He's creating a karma because his mind inside is having ill willing. A soldier is killing an enemy on the war front, but his inner feeling is he's doing it for the country. That's not a bad. The event is same. You're killing somebody, a robber killing somebody or a dacoit killing somebody. His state of mind is negative, which is creating a karma. A soldier doing the same thing has got a very different. He's protecting his country against an aggression of an enemy or whatever. So I would say the same two events. What is creating karma is your inner thought.
Right.
If your thought can be be pure and natural, I think so. You how do you remain equanimous? How you don't react? And I'll tell you how this helps Vipassana. The moment you start doing the Vipassana practice, in life we have got a lot of ups and downs. So when the ups happen, when you're, for example, I became ICAI President, you can, I think, hopefully check with any one of my colleagues. And I believe so internally also. It didn't go to my head. And even now, whether it's direct, I know all these, these are positions of the chair, it will come and go. So you have to be good as a human being and this cannot go to your head. And again, let me tell you, for a normal human being, it's very difficult. The moment you achieve a position, it goes to your head. So Vipassana helps you when you're doing well, it should not go to your head. So it should not, create problems with you as far as your ego and all the other things. And when something so bad happens to you, so you come across some downs in your life, there will be personal issues, professional issues. At that time also, how do you remain equanimous? And I can share you, I've seen the ups and downs in my life. And at both levels, thanks to Vipassana, it has helped me remain equanimous in the sense. And you get so sometimes the things are so bad and sometimes it shakes you also. The events are so bad. But having done Vipassana, automatically you get an alarm that the mind has started playing with you. So beware.
Yeah.
Where you need to stop before dabbling into those thoughts, the negative thoughts which comes out of some event, whether it's positive or negative. So that signal comes automatically from within. That you need to now.
Yeah, the noise is coming from the mind. You can hear the noise of the mind. And then you silence that mind by coming back to your present moment.
Wonderful. So now, if you permit, what we can do is for the audience benefit, I think the proof of the cake is in eating. If I think the audience, we can do the first part of the practice, which is called Anapan. It's a 10-minute thing in Guruji's voice itself. And I think the moment you listen to him, you'll see what impactful voice he's no more with us. But the day I listen to him, every day I sort of listen to him and it's transforming. That's the only thing I can share.
Yeah. So maybe we can all meditate together, friends. And we'll have a few other questions that we will take. We have some questions coming through. We will take those questions as well. But we'll meditate together for 10 minutes. And this is, we will practice silence. but this is a guided meditation. So my colleague may be ready to play the meditation. If not, Vidhi, I can do it as well. Okay, wonderful.
Vidhi, are you there?
Yeah, you may need to unmute. Yeah. Okay, we should get started. Would you like me to do it, Vidhi? Okay. Okay, I'm going to just play it myself, Nilesh bhai. Let's.
Now let us practice Anapana for about 10 minutes. Practice Anapana. Sit comfort. Now let us practice Anapana for about 10 minutes. Practice Anapana.
Vidhi, can you? You're unable to hear?
Vidhi has sent a message saying, please play it, Ganesh. I think I just seeing the message. I think possibly you may need to play it.
Remain aware of every breath coming in, every breath.
Ganesh, can you play it? I think Vidhi is this thing is coming on and off.
The nostrils. Just remain aware, do nothing.
Our apologies, friends. Vidhi, can you hear me, please, and not play uh, your, your voice? Can you make sure you're not playing it? I think we are both playing it at different times. Can you confirm on our private chat that you're not playing it? Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to be playing it now, and we'll replay it. Apologies for this. We'll begin again. Let's begin.
Ganesh, don't mute yourself after playing it. That's what Vidhi has said. Let it be on.
Now let us practice Anapana for about 10 minutes. Practice Anapana. Sit comfortably in any posture that suits you. Keep your back and your neck straight. Keep your eyes gently closed. Those who wear spectacles should take off their spectacles during meditation period. Keep your mouth gently closed and focus your entire attention on the area at the entrance of the nostrils. The area at the entrance of the nostrils. And remain aware of every breath coming in, every breath going out. Natural breath, normal breath, as it is, as it is. If it is long, it is long. If it is short, it is short. Passing to left nostril. Passing to right nostril. Or through both the nostrils. Just remain aware, do nothing. Just remain aware. Alert, attentive, vigilant, remain alert, attentive, vigilant, constantly aware of the breath, the incoming breath, the outgoing breath, incoming breath, outgoing breath. Keep your attention steadfastly fixed on this area, the entrance of the nostrils. Like a gatekeeper, like a watchman, aware of every breath entering the nostrils, aware of every breath moving out of the nostrils. Alert, attentive, vigilant. Incoming breath, outgoing breath, natural breath, pure breath, nothing but breath. Kavatu sab mangalam, kavatu sab mangalam, kavatu sab mangalam. Good, good. Be happy, be happy, be happy.
How was it, Ganesh?
Beautiful. I absolutely was reminded of my days in Igatpuri. And thank you for sharing this clip, Nilesh bhai. We are so busy with our everyday lives. I think just some.
Let me, just taking forward a conversation, Ganesh. so that you
Yeah.
get your thoughts, collected. One other thing I think which Vipassana has taught me, I think finally I think everything is a state of mind in the sense where we feel handicapped also. I can just give my again example there. What has happened is if from the fourth day when you start doing Vipassana, there are 3 sessions in a day where they suggest that it's morning 8 to 9, afternoon 2:30 to 3:30, and in the evening 6 to 7, where everybody has to meditate together in the hall. And there the suggestion is that once you take a posture, please don't change. This is for 1 hour. And I'm being a tall person, I got a back problem. The typical, I've suffered a slip disc also in 99. And even earlier, the problem was there. So when I used to sit for meditation, cross-legged down, after 30 minutes, 45 minutes, never used to, for first 3 shibir which I did, 1989, 95, 97, I couldn't it is called adhisthan, that for 1 hour, don't move yourself, come what may. Fourth shibir, one day, I think 4th day or the 5th day, I don't know when, I decided, come what may, I'm not going to, change my position. And I can tell you, I was sitting cross-legged, and I don't know what was the time. After some time, the back started paining, the lower back. It was absolutely unbearable. But I had taken a firm resolve and determination that I am not going to move come what may. I can tell you, around the 55th minute, the pain just exploded, went away. What I'm trying to say is, finally, it is the mind. How much you can bear, whether it's a pain, whether it's all conditioned. And I think our capacity, human capacity, is absolutely, unbelievable. And this is just one small example. I think people will have other examples. For 1 hour, I could never sit, peacefully without moving because of the pain, and trying to reduce the pain in one manner or the other. And the day I decided, a firm determination, a resolve that I'm not going to move, and I could achieve it. And from that shibir onwards, I have never had problem over the 1 hour session. So again, how your mind is playing a devil, it will want you to give up sometimes. So this practice indirectly, see, this was from a Adhistan perspective, which happened. But the learning in life is that nothing is impossible. If you have a firm determination, you can do it.
Yeah. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Nilesh bhai, we have a question. We
Yep.
can take it from Chetan Thakkarji. We'll take this question. He says, normally I'm a very cool person. However, at certain times, I get bit angry for fraction of minutes and things go out of hand. Could you please guide what is to be done in such a situation?
Chetan, I would advise you, please do Vipassana. You are saying fraction of minutes and things go out of hand, and that's the trigger point. So how that the fraction should not come and how your mind should be under control. You practice Vipassana. As I told you, Anapan will help, number one, of course, which is the first point. But if you do a 10-day camp, I think you'll have a lot of benefits. I'm not guaranteeing it, but you'll definitely have a lot of benefits in controlling. I gave my own example. I was absolutely short-tempered, and Chetan is incidentally done his training with me. Ganesh, he's a chartered accountant, and I don't know if you were there before 1989 with me, then you would have got a piece of my mind, I would say, for that. After that also, but I didn't get angry later on post 1989. That's the only thing I can share with you. I may have shown anger to get things done. That's a different thing. But pre 1989 and post 1989, that's a proof is in front of you. So I would recommend you do a 10-day Vipassana course, and it definitely help you, transform yourself from this anger. And the problem is the amount of the problems which this creates, the short-temperedness, anger, and all. And if you're aware, and you can sort of see it coming, I think and it comes automatically. You don't have to sort of once you start practicing Vipassana, it will be automatic. That's my suggestion. Please do Vipassana.
Wonderful. We can see many friends have joined us. Rajiv bhai has also joined us. Welcome. We can see Malay bhai has joined us. Welcome to Mudita. Manali has joined us. Our friends Anilji is here. Welcome to all of our friends. We have a friend from the US as well that's joined us, Swaraj. So thank you very much. Nilesh bhai, I'm going to, on your behalf, recommend to everybody that they consider spending time. We have seen through you the magic of meditation. We have seen the magic of silencing our mind. And when you silence your mind, you can actually become a magnet for success. You don't have to run towards success, but success will come towards you. And for that, your practice, and there are many different ways that we can all find that peace, that silence. There are many great masters that have walked on this planet Earth, that continue to live on this planet Earth, and we've got lots of books, lots of materials, and we never say that there is only one path to peace.
Absolutely.
But one of the paths definitely is through Vipassana. I have done I have completed one 10-day shivir myself. Nilesh Bhai actually was the one who really led me to that. And, Nilesh Bhai, if any one of us meets him, he is a magnetic personality as well. People are drawn to him for the exact reasons that we've talked about today. That humility, that simplicity, and all of that has come through. That actually also brings success. We often say that to market yourself, you have to promote yourself, you have to say big things about yourself, but actually the less you do and say, the more that comes to you. So that's very, very beautiful. So please do visit dhamma.org and find out details on Vipassana meditation. I know when I tried to go, Nilesh Bhai, there was a big wait list. So if there were like several sessions were booked in advance. So there are thousands of people trying to, and trying to do what? Come and be sitting in silence for 10 days. You could possibly say that, I wish I could do it at home, but we are just so addicted to all of that stimulus. So, just going and being in silence can be so powerful and so magical. So thank you very much.
Only thing I would share with you is, of course, it is spreading like wildfire, and it is benefiting, I would say, thousands and lakhs and millions of people across the world. The current challenge which we are facing as an organizer, I can just share with you, is thanks to the pandemic. Of course, we have got permission just recently, few days back, from the Maharashtra government to open our centers at 50% capacity. But the challenges which we are facing, for example, in Igatpuri, is we have got some rooms which are twin sharing, some are dormitory, some are single sharing. So we can't have more than one person per room now going forward. So normally, suppose if you were having 500 people, now we'll have to cut it down to 100, 125 people in that center. So it's going to be more challenging till the time we have this COVID period. So those who are keen, and especially when this COVID period is there, as it is, people are working out of home and all, and we'll be starting today is the second day. We have started the shibirs back in Igatpuri, but today we started a 3-day course for the old students. We'll set our systems in place thanks to the COVID, the distancing, social distancing norm and all. So we are changing, and we're trying it out on our old meditators first, with a 3-day shibir. So I would suggest is those who are interested, please book themselves, and friends who are interested can connect with me also. Of course, it will be difficult now, let me tell you, because of the restricted capacity thanks to COVID. But despite that, we'll give it a best shot in case you're interested.
Yes, so you can always message us on the AHA Facebook channel, and we'll connect you to Nilesh Bhai. And if there is any help that you need, please feel free to do that. I also want to share that we have our upcoming AHA conversations on the 18th of September, and then again on the 2nd of October. On the 18th, we have Mr. Shreyans Daga, who will be speaking with Dr. Preeti Kohli, and then again on the 2nd of October, we have Mr. Devdutt Patnaik, who will be speaking with Dr. Preeti Kohli again at 5 p.m. So with that, I just wanted to say a big thank you, Nilesh Bhai, and not to you, but also to all of the attendees and all of the people who will watch this a little bit later over the next few weeks and months. We thank you for joining us, taking the time to be with us for this hour and 15 minutes. We hope that this session for many of us will be the beginning of our own practice of silence. And the more we practice the silence, the more it's like a tree that begins to grow. The deeper the silence, the deeper the roots grow, the higher the tree rises, and success starts to come. And I think Nilesh Bhai is a living example of that. He has been now a meditator for 31 years, and patience, equanimity, balance, accepting that everything in our lives is impermanent, celebrating life with whatever it has to offer us. All of these qualities of Nilesh Bhai, I wish that all of us can imbibe these qualities. So thank you for enlightening us, Nilesh Bhai, so much.
Thank you, Ganesh. It was fantastic conversing with you. I think the amount of inputs, you yourself should take one session in this, and I can interview you one of these days. But it has been good. And I hope some people get inspired and follow Vipassana. It will benefit them. And as they say, sabka mangal ho. May all beings be happy. So in life, many times we are jealous. So at the moment we root out the negativities in life, I think life will be on a positive spiral. So the ethos, as I told you, Guruji says, even if I've been practicing, I'm benefiting, the sharing, the maitri, like whatever I have gained, let it be with everyone. Let everybody gain from me, from my practice. If I have earned some punya, let the punya be shared with everyone. And sabka mangal ho, may all beings be happy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Pleasure. And Vishalji, I will definitely come to Kutch. You have said come to Kutch. We have got a beautiful Vipassana Kendra. I will definitely come. Damba Sindhu. Thank you for that message. Rajiv Bhai, I'm glad that you enjoyed. Bharat Bhai, thank you for joining us. We'll end here today, friends. Thank you very much. We'll see you again at an AHA conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.